Hi folks, so in this question what we're going to do is cover the 2022 Leaving Cert DCG higher level paper, and specifically the question here is based on B2, which is a topic of perspective. So as I said, this comes from the 2022 higher level paper. So it says here, the image on the right shows a horse box coffee dock. Figure B2 shows the plan and elevation of a coffee dock based on this image. Okay, so they've given us an elevation, they've given us a plan of a kind of a horse box coffee dock based on this kind of idea up here. It says here also, a pictorial view of the coffee dock is also shown. The surfaces B and C are inclined at 25 degrees. So we've kind of obviously got the roof surface here at 25 degrees and obviously the canopy part here C. Okay, and you can see there's kind of how do I put it, kind of little mantelpiece here where obviously people put their kind of cups of coffee and things like that. You can see kind of here, okay, in the pictorial. And it says part A, draw the given plan. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to draw the given plan. We only need the elevation for the heights here. Part B, make a perspective drawing of the coffee dock given the following. The spectator point S is 16 meters from point A. So from point A here, which is not touching the actual object, because you can see there's a bit of an angle there, but 16 meters from there. And then the picture plane is touching point A. Picture plane passes through point A, and then the horizon line is 7 meters above the ground line. Okay, and that's going to help us get our vanishing points. And then it says here a little note, use an auxiliary vanishing point to determine the surfaces B and C in the perspective drawing. Okay, so part one, they're telling us what to do, draw the given plan. So we have to reproduce this guy here. Now based on measurements, our scale here, because it says meters, so 4 meters, if I was just to break this down, 4 meters equates to 4,000 millimeters. And if I applied that into a scale, well, I divide that by 100. Well, what does that mean? 4,000 divided by 100. Well, if I cancel the zeros, that would be 40 over 1. That means that distance there is 40. Okay, likewise, this would be 40. 1.5 would be 15. Then I would have 10. Distances going out, then I would have 20, 40, and 20. And then up here, it would be 35, 50, 50. I have 10. 32, 3.2 meters, and 2.8 meters would be 28. So they're the little bits of information I need. I only need the elevation for heights. I also need it for lengths in this case, and then the plan to be able to draw it. So I'm going to start off by creating a box that's 135 long and 80, 95, 105, okay, in kind of height. So starting with that there, now I'm going to position it about up here. So I'm going to start off roughly in the top of my page, right up here near the tip top. So I'm going to do a line like that. From there then, I'm going to keep it right to the edge actually. Just thinking. About there is where I'm going to position it. So at the very tip top, it's 135 in length. 13.5. And I'm going to measure 13.5, 3.5, and then the 50, which would be me to 85. So that's 50, 50, and 35. Now I'm going to do lines up and down, because this is just for the plan. Okay, and now I'm going to measure down my gaps. On this side here, I have 20, 40, and 20. So from there, there's the 20, plus the 40, plus the 20. Okay, and on this side then, I have, making sure I'm measuring it accurately, I have 40 plus the 40 plus 15, 95 plus 10, 10.5. So with all those measurements now, line across, this one goes to there I think, that one goes into there, and to connect these all up properly, I'll heavy all these in a minute, just to give the idea. So there is, as far as I'm aware, I think that is plan view completed. Just a case now of heavying in what's relevant. So there's that one. And as far as there's that bit. So I'm just getting all my vertical lines drawn. So there's the verticals. That's the canopy there. This is the platform that it's coming off. It actually needs to be heavy down a little bit further, as far as here. Okay, this one here is the edge where the roof starts. That's the roof bit in the middle. Up to the top here. That's the roof section at the top. Okay, continue on with this now. Okay, so there we have it. There is the plan view of the structure drawn. Okay, so with the plan drawn, now what we're going to do is we're going to locate the spectator. Now just remember that there is point A, right there on the outside. So from point A, it tells us that the angle is going, I'll just come back here, from A it's going at a 60-degree angle, and the spectator is 16 meters from point A. So I'm going to get my 60-degree set square. I want to do a line from that going at 60 degrees, and then along that line, not sure how much I need just yet, 16 centimeters. So from A, I'm going to measure a distance of 16 centimeters. Brings me all the way down to here, so it is actually come down quite far. May have had to set this up in portrait format, but we'll see if it fits. So there's my spectator. I'm going to mark that with an S. And I have to set up now for the picture plane. So to set up for the picture plane, what we want to do is from the spectator, I'm going to go to the furthest left of the object and the furthest right that I can see to get to what's called my line of sight, or sorry, I should say my cone of vision. And I'll bisect that to get my line of sight. So furthest left of the object and furthest right of the object. Now inside there, that is the furthest left of the object I can see and the furthest right of the object. Now, that's called your cone of vision. From the cone of vision, we're going to bisect that angle created inside there, and we're going to set up what's known as our line of sight. So inside there, I'm going to bisect the angle. And once I've that angle bisected, it's in there, the spectator. That line there is a line that I'm going to use to set up my picture plane and all my projection lines afterwards for my perspective. So how I usually do it then is, I'm going to go get the long edge of my 45-degree set square, put it on the line of sight, rotate perpendicular like this, and through A then, I'm going to set up my picture plane. Based on sizes, I'm just going to extend it a bit further. So this one is quite large. Okay, that there is my picture plane. Once again, I'm going to put that in heavy. Just take my time with this now. So through A. So you can see the actual object itself, the coffee dock, is actually behind our picture plane. So there's our picture plane, usually labeled with PP. Okay, and now we have to set up the ground line and the horizon line. The horizon line will help us get our vanishing points. And just to do that, what we need to do is we have to look at the direction of the faces. So the faces are either going horizontal or vertical. I understand we have kind of sloping surfaces here going at an angle, but we'll get those later on. So from the spectator, I'm going to go up vertical to hit the picture plane. And I'm also going to go horizontal to hit the picture plane. Now, a little bit of advice here. What I usually do at this point, you can use sliding set squares, but at this point in a drawing, especially with perspective, I always like to then rotate my sheet so that my T-square is actually now in line with my picture plane. Now, lots of people here might use an adjustable set square, and if you want to stick with that, that's absolutely fine. I find it a little bit easier to rotate my sheet so that my T-square is going to now be in line with my picture plane. So I'm just going to set it up and retape down the sheet. Only takes a couple of seconds. I'll retape down the sheet. So now that I've done that, I'm going to tape the sheet down using the same bit of masking tape. There we go. Out to here. And get one other little bit over here. Okay. So I've redone the sheet. It's just taped down, just just, there we go. Now I want to make sure that this all fits in. So you might not be able to see all of this guy, but I just want to bring it down so we can see the ground line. I'll refer up to these points up here when we need to. So you can see the spectator is quite a bit down on the drawing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up for my ground line. Now you can see here my horizon line, okay, you can see it's nearly going off the page where I'm going to be getting my vanishing points. So for my ground line, if I just come back to the drawing, it tells us that the horizon line is 7 meters above the ground line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply project these down. I usually put in the ground line, but I'm actually going to get my vanishing points first, and then I'll measure the ground line down off of that. So from here, I'm going to do a line down, and from here, a line down. Now my vanishing points, I want them to fit on the page. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, using my T-square now, I'm going to just do a line across there like that. And there. Now that there is going to give me VP1. That's vanishing point 1 on the left. And this one, VP2. Now what we know is, if I've drawn in the horizon line, it tells us that the horizon line is 7 meters above the ground line. So if that's the horizon line, all I have to do there is measure from the height of the vanishing point down 7 meters. So 70 millimeters. That is where my ground line is going to go. Now as you can see, my ground line is extremely close to my spectator. But does it matter? No, it doesn't matter, because they can go anywhere. So that's my ground line, and for the sake of it, I'll put in HL up here. That's my horizon line, and then we had our picture plane. Okay, we're fully set up now to start the question. So just making sure you can see as much of the object as we can. Right, so we're set up for starting the question now, folks. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try and complete this little perspective here. I was going to say pictorial perspective. Now they've kind of given you a little clue here of how we find it. You can see picture plane was touching corner A. And from A, you can see if it vanishes back in this way, I can find this edge. And from A, when I vanish it back to the other one, I can find that edge. And then they'll have to connect there. Okay, so there's a little bit of a gap in there where it's not touching the picture plane because it's a little bit behind it. We're going to use this principle here to locate this point and this point. Now, where are those 2 points? We have to find them in our plan view. So the 2 points specifically I'm trying to find, okay, are coming from here and here. So if I want to find them, I have to bring them down to the spectator. So this one here, bring it down to the spectator. Well, rule of thumb, bring it to the spectator, stop it at your picture plane. Likewise with this one. Bring it to the spectator, stop it at the picture plane. And that one has already been brought down. It's here, and this point here has been brought down. Now, what I have to recognize is point A is touching the picture plane. So from point A, I'm going to drop that all the way down to the ground. Okay, that has come down to my ground line. So there's A. Now, I know that A vanishes back in this direction, which is going to be parallel with here, which means A vanishes over to VP1 for anything that's going to be on this face. So from A, I'm going to vanish that to VP1. Okay, A also goes in this direction, which is parallel with this, which means it's going to be going to VP2. So from A, it's also going to vanish over to VP2. Okay, so now we've got A vanished over to VP1 and VP2. Somewhere along this line is going to be this point and this point. How do I find it? I need the spectator's view of it, and I've already brought it down in line with the spectator, but where it hits the picture plane, I'm going to drop it down from here and here. That'll give me the first little edge there. So I'm going to drop that down. I'm going to drop this one down here. Okay, and that there is after actually giving me the first little edge. Now, in reality, we know it goes up. And it goes up there. I'm not going to heavy it in the whole way, but I've kind of got that first edge. Now what I want to do, you can see there, I've kind of got this bit here. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to build on this face. So I'm going to actually get the face of it there in a second, but I'm just going to get this portion of it, and then we'll work up to the height. So how do I do that? Somewhere along this line, we've already vanished. So the points I want to find are this one, which has already been brought down to the spectator. Stop it at the picture plane, and this one. Okay, actually, sorry, apologies, it's not that one. It's this one, because that's actually the one where the face is on, because that there is the kind of mantelpiece, I say, or the little kind of docking part where you put your mouse. So it's actually this point. Bring it down to the spectator, stop it at the picture plane. Now, as I bring it down, there's that point and that point. Now I can heavy in those edges. So that's where it is, along those lines. So there's that edge. I'll just heavy it up a little bit and heavy this up just a tiny bit. Okay, so now I've kind of got two faces. I've got this side face and this front face. And I know that they connect to one another. So I'm simply going to join a line across those there. So very easy there. Now I can connect that going across like that. Didn't need any vanishing point for that. There we have it. So I kind of started to build up the platform for that. Now, if I break up this object into kind of two structures, we've got the roof and then we've got the main body of it here. And we're going to forget about the canopy and we're going to forget about the kind of the mantle there as well, where there's kind of the little table that's attached onto it. Okay, and there's a little window. I'm just focused on building this face here, and that face as a whole before obviously we put in all the little details. Okay, there's obviously a little line running across there. We've got the window, that little section and so on. And they're the details we'll add in a moment. But for now, I'm just focused on building up the structure. Now what I have to do is I essentially have to find a height where I can do that on. Okay, I need to find the height of that. So where do I have the height of that? That comes from the elevation. The height of that structure is 28 plus 32 plus 10. 28 plus 32 is 60, plus 10 is 70. So it's 70 high from here up to here. And that's the bit of information I need. That there is 70 in height, all of it all the way along. So how am I going to do that? I can use a height line. Have I already got a height line? Yes, technically I do, because I can use the point A as a height line and I can measure up 70 from A and vanish both back to VP2 and VP1. Okay, another way I could have done it was, well, I suppose they're both, because they're on, A is actually technically as a plane, it's on those surfaces. Another way I could have done it was I could have brought this down here, brought it all the way down, done a height line and vanished it back over to VP1. But easiest way to do it is from A. So from A, we're going to measure up a height of 70 millimeters, because that's the height, and then I'm going to vanish from there to VP1 and vanish over all the way to VP2. Now, how do I draw it in? Well, all I'm going to do then is, that's the height where it connects up to there. I've got that one there, and I've got that one to VP1. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So that there is going to go all the way up to here now. We're going through that one, and that one. I'm going to connect those up. Now that actually works out because, sorry, I just realized the height is 70 and the horizon line is 70, so that actually would have ended up in a horizontal line. Okay, and on this one here, it actually probably will be a horizontal line as well. So I'm just going to heavy in that little section there now. So there's that bit and that bit. Okay, so we've got that face and then connecting the cross here. So I've got those three faces there now. Okay, now on this face we know there's little bits of details. Okay, the first detail I'm going to focus on is this bit here at the top, the grey bit. So what's the height of that bit there before, how far do I come down? Once again, that's a height of 60, 28 plus 32. So I'm going to actually do, because we can use the same height line, the height line for A, I'm going to measure up 28 and 32 and I'll get those heights. So from A, I'm going to mark up a height of 28 millimeters. So I'm accurate now. There's the 28 and the 32 gives me the 60. So there's my two heights. There's the height of the 28 and the height of the 32. I'm going to vanish those because they're on this face here. I'm going to vanish them over to VP2. Okay, so the first one, that's my line there. The next one is the gap for the window, which is this line, which I'm going to heavy in now. Okay, and then the window, I have to get the window, which comes from this point here in the elevation, or sorry, the plan view, bring it down to the spectator, stop it at the picture plane, and then project it down. That's going to be that line there in the middle. Okay, now I mightn't see it fully. I'm after putting it in there for now. Okay, obviously you'll be using pencils and stuff on the day, so you'll be able to rub out these things, but I'm after putting that in. Now the next thing I'm going to focus on is the little boards coming out of it. Okay, and we can see that there. Now I have to find that. Now that board is coming out here, and that's how wide it is. So the points I want to find, well, this one has been brought down already, so I'll be using that. This one has been brought down. I need to find this one as well, so bring it down to the spectator, stop it at the picture plane. Now, that board is coming out in this direction, okay? It comes out from the actual object, from the coffee dock. So because it's going out from the object, it's coming out this way, it's going to be parallel to this one. So I'm actually going to vanish from VP1 through this point. And I'm going to do the same from VP1 through this one. Now, somewhere out along that line and out along that line is going to be where the the tabletop ends. How do I find it? Well, it ends out here, so where that comes down hits the pitch plane, and where this one comes down, I'm going to find it. Now I only technically need to find one of them. So there it is. I brought it down. Now I can heavy that in. From there to there. VP2 down through that. And there we have it. Now this is what I was saying previously. Now I am using markers, but I like to build my way up. So technically, in perspective, would I see that little edge in there? No, I wouldn't, okay? But for the demonstration of the video, I'm just showing you where that actually comes from. So obviously, if you're using pencil on the day of an exam, you would come along and you'd rub out that little bit inside there. Okay, so we've kind of got that little docking station, or sorry, the little mantle or the little table there at the edge of it. Now what we have to focus on is the top part. So I have to focus on the canopy C and the top part B as well. So how are we going to do that? It tells us specifically use an auxiliary vanishing point to determine the surfaces B and C in the perspective drawing. And they already tell us as well the surfaces B and C have an inclination of 25 degrees. So they're angled at 25 degrees. So what I need to do is, looking at my plan view, I need to note the direction that the slope is going. My slope is going in this kind of direction. Okay, it's not going horizontal. Okay, the direction that the slope is running from the bottom up to the top, if you think of the roof here, this is the low part, this line here will be the low part of the roof, this line will be the top part. So it's going upwards like that. Now, I have to note that on my sheet, and you can clearly see if I take this guy here as surface B, and this guy here as surface C, they are running up in this direction. And because they're going in that direction there, well, which vanishing point am I going to use then to get my auxiliary vanishing point? It's going in this direction. Over here, I'm using it off of VP1. So, how do I get an auxiliary vanishing point? What I'm going to do is, I take the angle that they tell us, which is 25 degrees. This is the line previously that we used to get VP1. We brought it from the spectator, parallel to the direction of the faces, okay, and dropped it down to our horizon line to find VP1. Now all we're going to do is we're going to recreate that angle using the spectator. So from the spectator, I'm going to put my protractor on it, making sure the 0 point of my protractor is resting on the line that I used to get my vanishing point. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to recreate the angle of 25 degrees. So, from the spectator, measuring from the 0, 25 degrees. I'm just thinking which way will I go. I can do it up into it, doesn't really matter. And go this way, yeah, it's fine, it doesn't really matter. I'll go 25 degrees up. So you can see there, I've got the 25 degree mark. All I'm going to do there now is I'm going to do a line up like this. So you can see the line that I've just drawn there, going in this direction. I'm going to write 25 degrees on that. So I just have it as a reference. Okay, so there's the 25 degrees going up there like that. Now what I have to do is, perpendicular to this line from where it hits the picture plane. So this line here, perpendicular to that, I should do it this way, apologies. So perpendicular to that line, I have to rotate my set squares here a little bit. There we go. Now what's helpful about that is, I've essentially redrawn a triangle, okay? So using this line as the baseline, and then perpendicular edge there, so that angle in there is 90 degrees, okay? I did 25 degrees up here, And what is helpful about that is the height that I get there. Just going to mark this with a highlighter. That little height there, that mark that I've just done with my red highlighter, okay, that is the height from my auxiliary vanishing point. So I'm going to take that distance now on my compass from there to there. Okay, come over to VP1. Don't worry if this goes above the line. You can see there I'm going to mark it up like that. So I took the distance from my auxiliary vanishing point, that height there. I mark it above VP1. Okay, now in this case, because of the awkwardness and the size of the drawing, it's just after going above my picture plane. That doesn't matter. I'm just going to extend that up a little bit. And you can see there, that point right there is going to be called AVP. That point right there. Okay, and that is the point I'm going to use to find all the points that are going upwards from my slope. Okay, so if I focus on the roof B here, let's say I want to find this point here. How do I find it? Well, first of all, I need the spectator's view of it. So I bring it down in line with the spectator. It's going to be somewhere there. Now, that point comes from here, so it's going to go up. So from here, from this point here, it's going to go up to AVP, and as is this one here. So somewhere up along those is going to be the roof. How do I find where these lines end? Well, it ends here. Bring it down to my spectator, where it hits the picture plane. Drop it down. I've now found the first little edge. Now, if you want to make your life a little bit more difficult, you could technically bring this down to the spectator. Okay, stop at the picture plane, drop it down. But because that's just a parallel line with the ground, a horizontal line, that line is running in this direction. So from that point there, it's just simply going to vanish to BP 2. And then I can draw it in. There and there. So I've now got the first point on the roof. And what's helpful about that one then is I know that connects to there and there. So I simply just draw those in. I've got that one and that one. Okay, so there's the roof portion. Now what we have to do is we have to get the little canopy C that's coming off of here and here. So how do I do that? Well, I've already got my auxiliary vanishing point, AVP, through that point, AVP, through that point. Now I need to find where it's going to end. How do I find where it ends? Well, it ends right here. So I want the spectator's view of it. Spectator, bring it down to the spectator. Stop it at the picture plane. I could technically use this one as well. Okay, it doesn't matter which one I use. I only need one of them. I'll do the outside one. So from the outside, that's going to hit right there. Okay, I can heavy that in now. As far as here, and we're almost done. And then that line, the edge of it is running in this direction, so I have to vanish it to BP2. And there we have it. And that there is our canopy. Surface B and surface C. And just for demonstration purposes, I will put this in a little bit of colour. Just showing that that is the canopy there. And if I was to heavy that in as well. But that's pretty much the question done there, folks. So a little bit of an awkward one in regards to the setup for that one, because the vanishing points and the picture plane went out so wide, and also in regards to the setup as well, okay, in the sense that obviously I rotate the sheet and you can see how wide my vanishing points went. I was unsure to start if to do this in portrait or landscape. Looking at the drawing now, I think landscape was actually fine, but it just made it a little bit more awkward in regards to the setup. The other part that was awkward was that the actual object itself was not touching the picture plane, it was just a little bit behind it. So you can see here that none of the object actually touches the ground line then, okay, because of that. So, and then obviously we had to get the auxiliary vanishing point by recreating the 25-degree angle down here. Okay, little bits obviously that you should not heavy in then in regards to a test. This line in here should not be heavy, and this little bit in here based on a perspective drawing, you don't put them in as hidden detail here either. But just as I was working through the object, I found it a little bit easier just to kind of explain it as I was going along, so I did heavy them in. But obviously on the day of a test, you would not heavy in that line or that line. Okay, so there you have it, folks. That there was the 2022 higher level section B question, B2, based on the topic of perspective. Hope you found it helpful, guys. That's the video done. Okay.